Hi, and welcome to Resolve, Evolve, and Rewire with Donna Parker. And today I am so honored to introduce Brian Tracy, one of the world's leading voices in personal development and success. He's a best-selling author of over 85 books, including the classic Eat That Frog. He has inspired millions with insights on productivity, leadership, sales, and goal settings. From his humble beginnings, Brian has transformed his life through discipline, continuous learning, and relentless drive for growth. He's a globally recognized speaker, business strategist who has worked with over thousands of companies, spoken to more than 6 million people across 70 countries. As the founder and CEO of Brian Tracy International, he's dedicated his life to helping individuals, organizations unlock their unlimited full potential. And actually, did you say it was 95 books now, Brian?
96.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Many years ago, I was approached by one of the biggest publishers in New York, Simon & Schuster, and they asked me to write 3 books for them. I wrote 2, and then I didn't write the 3rd one, but I went on to write others because the book sold well, and they track this. The publishers track the sales of other authors, and then they say, by the way, if you are looking for another publisher, we'd be interested in talking to you. So now I've been published by the 7 biggest publishers in the world. I got approached by the biggest publisher, and they said, we want you to write 3 books for us. And I said, wow, I mean, this is a Penguin Random House. And I said, well, what subjects? So they said, you pick them. And send us a proposal, and if we like them, we'll send you back an advance, and we'll write them and produce it. And they did, and they sold all over the world, and still are. And anyway, so after 3 months of promoting the book, they stopped promoting me. They stopped getting me interviews. They stopped putting me on radio and TV and so on. I said, well, what's the problem? They said, well, your 3 months are up. I said, my 3 months? Yeah. A new book gets 3 months of promotion, and then they go on to the next book. I said, well, how do I get more promotion? They said, write another book. So I said, okay, I'll write another book every 3 months. I've done thousands of hours of research. So every 3 months I'll write a book, and meanwhile I get it published, and I'm different publishers. And I did that for 22 years. 3 months. Yeah. And then people ask me,
relentless pursuit. And then you think about the legacy you're leaving in that information and the ripple effect of the lives that you've touched. It's really beautiful.
well, so people kept asking me, well, how do you write a book? I mean, I tried for years to write a book. How do you write publishable books that go worldwide? Like Eat That Frog, for example, got 5 million copies in 55 countries. Well, how do you do that? I said, well, this and you do that and you do this. They said, could you write that down? I said, oh, all right. So I wrote down 20 steps to write a book and get published. And I put it on my website, and I made it universally available at no charge. And what I will do is I will send it to you, and you can do with it as you please. But if any of our listeners today would like to get a copy of How to Write a Book and Get Published, it's a life changer, and it's free. It's a gift from us to them.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that gift, Brian. I will take advantage of that. I'm in the process of writing a book. So yes, please send it my way, and I'll make sure we can get copies to the listeners as well.
Yes. And before I wrote my first book, I read more than 20 books on how to write a book. There's so complete sections in bookstores. And I read and read and read and read for years before I was offered a contract. What my method does is it summarizes all the best ideas into a system, like a recipe that you can use in the kitchen, and the dish is delicious every time.
Oh, well, since I don't cook, I like this recipe. This is perfect for me. So thank you. This is my kind of cooking, my kind of recipe.
Yes. It'll save you a lot of time
Mm,
and come out with a superb product.
beautiful. And I look at, I'm hearing you and I'm thinking about, the discipline, like the structure, and that's part of what you love to teach people.
Yes.
Oh, so yeah, can you just share some of the process for setting and achieving meaningful goals in their life? Because so many people, I mean, including myself, I've talked about writing a book, Brian, for years. So what do you think prevents individuals, the ones that actually are taking the action, following through, and and people that are just talking and continue to not taking action?
Well, you're very right about that. Einstein said that nothing happens until something moves. So
Yes.
someone moves, takes action,
Yes.
does something in the universe.
Mhm.
Well, I was young and poor and broke and sleeping on the floor of a
Mm.
friend's one-bedroom apartment.
Yep.
And I was sitting there one day, no place to go, and nowhere to go, no one to go with me. So I started to, there's a magazine there, and the magazine, I still remember it said, if you want to be successful, you have to have goals, and you have to write them down. And if you're really serious about success, write down 10 goals in the present tense and see what happens. So I found a piece of paper, wrote down 10 goals in the present tense, very skeptical, by the way. And I promptly lost both the magazine and the list. But 30 days later, I looked back and I'd accomplished all 10 goals. My income had gone up, my weight had gone down, my dress had improved, I had my own apartment, I'd been promoted. It was unbelievable. That's why we talk about this. The most important thing about goals that holds people back for their whole lives is they don't write them down.
Mhm.
Each person has three minds. Freud called them the ego, the I am, the conscious mind, the id, which is the storage unit, the computer that stores all data that you've developed in your lifetime, and then there's the superego, and the superego is not really touched on, but it is called, I call it the superconscious mind. And the superconscious mind says that any thought, idea, or goal written down and continually reviewed will be brought into your life by your superconscious mind. It will attract to you every ingredient that you need, every person, every piece of idea. You'll come up with things that you never thought possible.
Mhm.
It's so extraordinary. So I'll give you my golden triangle for success.
Please.
Um, People ask me, there's three parts. Number one is to accept responsibility. I was talking to 800,000 Russian-speaking people last week on a podcast like this. It was so popular.
Mhm.
Every I am a big star in Russia, have been for many years.
Mhm.
They have a Brian Tracy book section in every bookstore, right at the front door in every bookstore in Russia and the Russian-speaking countries. And I've spoken 100 times in Russia, all over the country. It's it's a wonderful thing. Anyway, he said, you're very popular here, so as soon as you come on, everybody's going to come on to listen. And so we talked about different things, and geez, I went off track. Um, with regard to goals.
Yes,
The,
or not the triangle, that golden the
oh,
triangle.
goals, right, yes.
Yep.
These I said the most important part is for you to accept complete responsibility for your life. No excuses, no blaming, no negative attitude toward anybody else. Accept responsibility. And he said, my stomach went weak when you said that. I
Mm.
still remember that. He said, oh, he said, that's so beautiful. And the magic words are, I am responsible. I am responsible. What I discovered, I did 4,000 hours of research on the human condition. And
Mhm.
what I discovered is that there's two types of emotions. There's positive emotions and negative emotions. Positive emotions make you happy and productive and give you energy and everything else. Negative emotions pull you down, undermine your life, destroy your relationships, shorten your life, and so on. So how do you get rid of negative emotions? First discovery is that your mind is going to be full of emotions. And if you get rid of negative emotions, they fill with positive emotions. It's so extraordinary. So how do you get rid of negative emotions? Well, what I found is that the primary reason for negative emotion, the cause, is destructive criticism as a child. That's why my four children, all grown, married, children of their own, have never been criticized in their entire life. And there's no criticism. My wife has never been criticized. She's only been told how good she is and how much I love her. And the kids the same way. They
Mm.
are. And you can tell when people have positive emotions because they laugh all the time.
Mm.
It's the most amazing thing. So what we did is we eliminated negative emotions. We eliminated criticism. And what I found is that all negative emotions come from blaming someone else for something in your life that you're not happy with. And if you stop blaming, and it's interesting, you can cancel all negative emotions by simply saying the three magic words: I am responsible.
I'm responsible.
I am responsible.
And I love that quote because you wrote a quote that I really appreciated is you can't control what happens to you. This is you, right? But you can control your attitude towards what happens to you. And in that, you will take mastering, you will be the master of change rather than allowing it change to master you. Is that right?
Yes, or allowing yourself to be a victim of change.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Now, in my book, which is the 32 Laws of Money and Success, uh, one of the first laws is the law of control.
Mm-hmm.
It says that feel happy about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are in control of your own life.
Yes.
You feel negative to the degree to which you feel you are controlled by external circumstances.
Helpless to external circumstances. Right.
And
And mhm.
yes, and the rule is just to say, I am responsible, which puts you right in charge, puts
Mhm.
you in full control, and makes you a positive person and eliminates negative emotions. It's miraculous.
Well, and I love that because my mind is thinking about every area of your life, right? So even relationships, because of course there's going to be challenges in our life, right? So it's really like how do we use those as
Yeah.
either happening for us or to us, and what we do if we do get into challenges when criticism and feedback, it's okay. I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for my life. What's my role, right? And that's so different than other people's mindset.
Yes. There's a there's a wonderful saying when people criticize you or negative towards you and so on, you say, well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And then you let it go off your back like water off a duck's back. So that's number one, is
Okay.
accept responsibility. It is the number one quality of leadership. You don't, it's really interesting. In the papers recently, there's been a story about the president of Starbucks, new president.
Mhm.
And he started off working in a Chipotle's, a Mexican restaurant,
Mm.
and he started working in a Chipotle's, and he worked his way up and became a supervisor, then a manager, then a senior manager, then a manager over several. And he became the president of Chipotle's and built a 2,000 unit empire. And
Mhm.
Starbucks has 10,000 units, and they were in trouble. And of course, in the industry, people know who people are. So they came to him and they said, would you come and take over Starbucks for us? And he said, well, yes. He said, what kind of compensation would I get? And they negotiated. They paid him a $96 million bonus for coming across. And in his first year, they paid him a salary of $36 million. Now, I
Not
say,
bad. Not bad.
yes, and this guy started like everybody else
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
He accepted responsibility.
Yeah.
Didn't complain about all the little problems, which are, Peter Drucker said that every business card of a manager should be stricken off and written the words problem solver, because that's all you do from dawn to dusk is solve problems. And if you are good at solving problems, the only thing you get is bigger problems to solve. And then
Mm. Ooh, let's say that again. I love that.
the only thing you get in solving problems is bigger problems to solve.
Mm.
And so it goes with that, a bigger office, more money, more responsibility. So you see a person like the president of Starbucks, a $96 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
That's a fantasy. And he
Well,
found,
and you start from like this small company and then you expand, right? And then it becomes the global business. Like you said, it's like the more you're good at solving problems, the bigger problems on even a global vision to solve.
and the problems that are solved always have a dollar sign. In
Yes.
business, every problem has a dollar sign.
Yes.
So if you become good at solving problems, you automatically attract into your life opportunities to solve bigger problems. And the way that you solve problems, you say, I'm responsible. I am responsible here. What am I going to do? What can I do? What will I do? What are the choices? You ask for advice. You read. You follow. Do you know that the two of the richest self-made multi-billionaires in the world are Bill Gates and Warren Buffett,
Mhm.
um, and
Mhm.
they're friends.
Mhm.
Bill Gates reads 2 books a week, 2 business books a week. Warren Buffett reads 5 books, 5 hours a day, 5 hours a day.
Mhm.
And it's quite amazing. People say, "Well, that's a lot to read." These people started with nothing and became some of the richest people in the history of mankind, and they attribute it to reading and learning and applying.
Yeah.
so, so,
Yeah.
so number one
That's key.
is
That's
accept
one of the keys.
responsibility.
Keep learning, right? We stop learning, we stop growing.
I'll come to that in a second. I jumped ahead.
Oh, okay.
Accept responsibility that puts you in charge of your life.
Great.
Never blame anybody for anybody. Just say when anything negative happens, say, wait a minute, I'm responsible for
Mhm.
how I handle this. I may not be responsible for what happened, but I'm responsible for how I respond. Number two is goals. And as I mentioned offline, goals are so magical. I never had any idea, but we find that every single successful person, Napoleon Hill discovered this when he interviewed 500 successful people,
Mhm.
uh, all self-made millionaires and multimillionaires, and every one of them had a goal, a written goal.
Mhm.
And the secret to writing and achieving a goal is, first of all, ask yourself, and I call this the magic question: what one goal, if I could achieve it, would have the greatest positive impact on my life? And for most people, it's a financial goal, because if you earn enough money, you could do anything. So whatever it is, it could be a health goal, it could be a family goal, business goal, whatever it is, write it down in the present tense. You see, your subconscious and your superconscious mind only work when you give them a command, and the command is a present tense, as though the goal already existed.
Mhm.
So you say, I earn X number of dollars by December 31st of this particular year.
Mhm.
Sounds very simple, but what that does, everything you write down is programmed into your superconscious mind. And then your superconscious works on it 24 hours a day to bring it into your life. And this discovery changed my life forever. I was working, sleeping on the floor,
Mhm.
going nowhere, and within a month, my life had changed forever when I wrote down my goal. So I'm a fanatic on write it down, write it down, write it down.
Mhm.
And
And are you still doing that every day?
every day,
Every day.
here's my
Let's
goal.
see it. Let's see it, Brian.
Here's my goal book. Uh, I I said I wanted a really good goal book, so I ordered it from Amazon. What a good goal book for them, or a good not textbook for them, was huge. So it's a huge book. It's this big, and I write in it every day, every day, every day. I write my
I love it.
goal.
And what I love is, I mean, that takes me back to middle school. It's the 5 subject simple mead, right? Like a $2. Anyone can get a spiral notebook. And
Yes.
and a spiral notebook in this mindset that our listeners are hearing can transform their lives.
And when I started doing this, I
Mhm.
could tell you within $1 how much money I had in my life.
Mm.
It
Mm.
wasn't very much. Today,
Mm.
if I earned, I'm 81 years old, I'm semi-retired. If I earned $1 million a year,
Mm.
I'd be really disappointed. I think, geez, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
I'm only earning $1 million a year sitting here looking at the golf course. I mean, and people
Mhm.
say $1 million a year. I did a conference call, not a conference. I spoke to 4,000 people in Las Vegas last week, and I met with a lot of them on the side. They're all entrepreneurs, all sales guys. They all working in the area of solar panels
Right.
and all over the country. And I spent time with them. It was astonishing how many of these people were earning more than $100,000 a year in sales and commissions and profits. And they all started off with nothing. They all started off knocking on doors and selling their services. And then they got really good at it. And what they told me is that I made them rich. They said this over and over again. You changed my life. You made me rich. You changed my life. You made me rich. And I always said, well, what was it that made you rich? And they beam, they light up like a sunshine. They say it was the goals. It was the goals. I never understood goals until I read about it in your books and your articles. They made me rich. And then I learned how to sell. That's another thing. If you're going to be an entrepreneur,
Yes. Yeah.
and major source of self-made millionaires in the world, much less America, is entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship means that you start a business and you sell something to someone and make a profit.
Mhm.
There's you heard the story about how the advertising agency doubled the sales of shampoo for a company. Did you hear that story?
No.
Well,
Oops.
well, competition was great, and
Yep.
they turned it over to a new agency. And the advertising, I used to be a copywriter. Copywriter came up with this idea because it said on the bottle, it said, "Wash and rinse." And so he came up with the idea: wash, rinse, repeat. And so people started to use twice as much of the champagne. Company became the most successful shampoo company in in the country. Well, that's what you do: is you learn a skill like selling, and
Yeah.
you go out there and sell your product and repeat. Do it and repeat. It's why you are successful. Is
Mhm.
because you keep repeating a success formula and you keep improving it.
Yep.
So you get better people, and you get better subjects, and you get more people listening, and more people who want to support you. It's an amazing thing. You get under an upward spiral. But please,
Have
please
you Oh, wait, please finish your sentence first, and then I was gonna ask you to
write down your goal. If all you learn from this conversation is take a piece of paper and write down a goal in the present tense. Now, this is one last thing which I recommend is this: is say, if you could achieve any one goal in the world in 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? And
Mm.
for each person, it's different. Second of all, is you ask, if you could wave a magic wand and become absolutely excellent at any one skill, which one skill would help you the most to achieve your most important goal?
Mm.
You take those two, within 5 years, you'll be rich.
Mm.
It's so simple. People say, "Oh, it's so simple." Yes, it
Well,
is.
I would love to hear what you think gets in people's way, but there's something I wanna say about just listening to you speak. I think the other thing that separates people in their craft, in their problem solving, is the inspiration and the heart centered. And when you talk about, I mean, you just light up when you talk about and 81. I would love to know what you wrote in your Mead notebook today, because if I can still feel this desire and this heart centered purpose and vision, I mean, the legacy that you're leaving is just, I'm humbled by, because I think there's a big difference in people that are really inspired and love what they do, in the way that they can impact lives, and it comes through in their message and in their work.
Well, thank you. I spent 2 full days to give a 20-minute talk in Las Vegas. to 4,000 people, standing ovation, and so on. But I spent a lot of time on sidebars, if you like, with the people who brought me in and with other people who wanted to meet me, talk to me. Sort of, they say, touch the hem of the robe, if you think about the Pope.
Yeah.
And so we sat there and just talked. And they told me absolutely wonderful stories that were the result of learning the critical skills for success from my material. And I have a book, by the way, called Advanced Selling Skills, and they felt this was probably the best selling book in the world, and it wasn't for a lot of reasons. But Advanced Selling Skills made them rich. They teach it, they preach it, they practice it, they teach it to their new people, and those people go out and make more and more sales and get better and better. Repeat, and we'll do it again. Repeat.
Repeat.
And they go from literally rags to riches. They go from struggling to brand new cars and big homes and pockets full of money. And I was astonished at how many of these who become sales guys, how many of these sales guys would tell me they're making more than $1 million a year now in commissions on sales. And I think, wow, wow. And they say, it's because of you. It's because of you. It's because of your stuff. It's because of practicing your stuff. What a great compliment. I mean, you say, I'm motivated to share these ideas. Yes. I remember when I started off, if I can help people to shorten that learning curve and achieve their goals faster, that means they have more life and better life. And they can make a better life for their kids and their spouses and things like that. It makes me happy, just like it makes you happy to help people. It makes us, and that's a wonderful type of person, by the way, who is in the business. I call it the happiness business, and that's what you're in, and that's what we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to give people that to create meaning and fulfillment.
Yes,
And when I hear you talk about stories and people coming back to you saying that you transformed your life, I mean, you just light up, and so I think that's what we're here to do is figure out what does inspire us, what does light us up. And then to your point, how do we create those action? I mean, how to create it into reality and what are the steps, and like you're so beautifully sharing this information and how many people are going to be touched by this podcast and change their lives. It's I love the ripple effect. But what do you think does block people? What does get in the way?
it's fear.
Fear.
It's fear, and there's a word called inchoate fear. And inchoate means it's a unclear, it's a random fear. The two biggest fears that human beings have is number one is the fear of failure, if I try it, I will fail. And the second is the fear of rejection or the fear of disapproval from others. If I do this and it's not successful, people will criticize me. And it all goes back to childhood. When you rule, these are one of the things that blew my mind, is that whenever you see an unhappy adult, you see an unhappy child. Whenever you see an unhappy adult, you see a criticized and a punished and a run down and mentally beaten up child. That's why I mentioned earlier, we have never criticized anybody in our family. It is not acceptable. Now, three of my children have children of their own, and we're all together on Saturday, by the way, the whole family. And it was amazing because uh, nobody criticizes anybody, and you can always tell if you have a happy relationship because people laugh a lot. They laugh all the time. With you and John DeMartini, who's been my dear friend for 30 years, is you laugh all the time. You have a good sense of humor. You're happy most of the time. Aristotle said the number one goal of all human action is to be happy or to be happier. Everything we do has one thing behind it or another thing behind it. We get a job. Why? Because we want to earn money. Why? Because we want to be able to cover our expenses. Why? So we'll be happy. Everything ends up at being happy. And that was Aristotle's conclusion, 350 BC. So if you want to be happy, then you'll find that if you are happy, you laugh. People who are happy spontaneously laugh. Anyway, My golden triangle. Number one is accept responsibility. Number
Right.
two,
Mhm.
determine your goals and write them down in the present tense. And number three is continuous learning, is dedicate yourself to continuous learning. You take people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Imagine Bill Gates reads 2 books a week, books a week, and underlines and then separates and writes down all the key lines and puts them on his computer for review. Warren Buffett reads 5 hours a day. And they asked Warren Buffett, it's a famous quote. They said, "Why is it you're so successful? What's your secret of success?" He said, "It's simple." He said, "I just say no to everything that is not the 2 or 3 most important things I can do." And I think of Nancy Reagan's comment during the drug days, and where she taught young people to say, "Just say no, just say no to drugs." And my kids got that. Just say no. We say no to drugs. We say no to drugs. Well, the key to success, if you want to be rich, happy, thin, famous, and popular, just say no to anything that is not the very best use of your time.
And it's
And
so hard for people. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard for people to say no,
yeah.
isn't it?
Well, also, there's a natural tendency to start work with little things. And here's the key to success. This is one of the things we teach in Eat That Frog. It'll make you change your life. What you do is every day, the end of the day, make a list of all the work that you have to do tomorrow. I have my list right here. Ta-da! It's my list of my things today. And who's at the top of the list? It's Donna.
I love it. I made the top of the list.
Top of the list. Anyway, so make a list and then look at the list and say, if I could only accomplish one thing on this list today, or I was called out of town for a month, which one activity or accomplishment would I focus on? And whatever that is, put a circle around it. And when you start work, don't talk to anybody, don't drink coffee, don't check your email in the morning, as they say. It's just put your head down and complete that one task.
Right.
Now God wants people to be successful. And there was a wonderful book written in the last few years ago. It was called Positive Addiction. Positive Addiction. And what the doctor, his name will come to me. What the doctor found is that every time you do anything, it generates chemicals in your brain. If you do a negative thing, it generates negative chemicals, which make you angry, suspicious, doubtful, and so on. If you do positive things, it generates positive chemicals. The two most important of which are endorphins and dopamines, which are called nature's happy drugs. Now, you know that if you take an illicit narcotic or drug of some kind repeatedly, you develop an addiction. So a lot of people develop an addiction to alcohol and drugs and so on. But if you do positive things that release positive chemicals in your brain, which make you feel happy most of the time, you develop a positive addiction. And this is extraordinary because if you make a list of 10 things that you do, every one of them is going to release something. That the higher you go on the list, closer to number one, the bigger hit you get when you complete the task. So task completion is the key to success and happiness in life. If you're your day, so you start and complete an important task first thing, you are pumped. You could hardly wait for the next task. It's like getting a mental injection of happiness and energy.
Oh, I love what you're saying because you're filling your day with high priorities that are inspiring versus low priority distractions. And you're actually saying yes to yourself. You're not shoulding, right? Like shoulding to not disappoint or masturbating all over ourselves. You're actually aligning your actions with highest priorities and you're saying yes to yourself.